Welcome back. This is Professor Ratechik. I'm going to talk about how to do the rest of the assignment here. If you watched the first video, I'm assuming you did the histogram, and the first video walked you through doing sum if. Okay? Now what we're going to do is an average if. Average if is completed in a very similar way to the histogram's method of summing. Okay? So sum if, average if, very similar. Okay? So average lemonade sold per day. That's what we want here. So we're going to say every 70-degree day, we're going to take the average of what's sold. So we know the total sold is 21. How many days are 70? Okay, that's part of the average calculation. Takes all the days that are 70, adds up all the quantity sold, and then divides by the number of days. Okay, average. So we're going to use the average if. Okay, so I'll go to the wizard to show you how this is done. If you remember the sum if, it said the same thing, range, criteria, and then sum range. So very similar setup. Range, it's saying, okay, human being, where do you want me to look for information? Okay, and the answer to that is column A. We are going to grab A2 all the way down to A139. Okay, we're going to click criteria. It's going to bring us back to the analysis tab. Now criteria is asking us, what do you want me to look for? You told me where to look. Now what do you want me to look for? And in our situation, we want to look for 70. But instead of hard coding 70, we're going to reference it because all these cells down here, we're going to want them to look for their corresponding temperature. So cell 20, for example, we're going to want to look for 78, not for 70. So that's why we actually hit a reference here. Okay? We don't need absolute reference. Average range. Okay? You told Excel where to look and what to look for. Now you have to tell it what numbers you want it to average. Okay? So we go back to the data tab. Instead of temperature, we want cups sold. Okay? Because we're going to average those number of cups. Okay? We hit OK. And we get 11. It's actually 10.5. So just the way that my formatting was set up. Okay? So we got 10.5. And that makes sense. That suggests that there's 2 days that are 70. We can verify that by looking up here again on the data tab. There's 2 days with 70. Okay, 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. Okay? Now, for those of you that don't remember, there's a quick way to drag a formula down. Instead of going like this, moving all over, if you move your cursor over to the bottom right and look at that black cross there and double click, it'll bring the formula all the way down. Okay? So that's the answer. That's average if. Okay? Now, it wants us, so I'm going to skip ahead. You know how to do the mode and the median. But now calculate the variance and standard deviation. I'm going to do that over here. So I'm just going to quickly do the mode and median. And then I'm going to do variance, standard deviation. Okay. So mode, again, mode, multi-mode possible. So I'm going to do lemonade cups sold. What's the most common occurrence of lemonade cups sold? Do the median. Okay, median. And then grabbing the range. 37 is the median. Okay, variance. This time we're going to do variance.s because we're going to assume this is a sample size. So we're going to take that same range just like we did with mode and median. Okay? And we get 204. Standard deviation, stddev.s. Okay? Same situation. We're going to grab that range again, the same range. Going to hit enter. So now we have a standard deviation of 14.2. Okay? Again, save your file. Very important to save your file after each task or after you do a little bit of work, because I won't be giving you an extension because you didn't put together a good save policy. Every student is responsible for saving their documents. Do not rely on auto-save. Save as a different file if you're concerned about having multiple files available to you instead of just one. that kind of thing. So now the question is, how many days have cups sold that are less than deviation? Okay, so standard deviation again is movement against the mean. Okay, away from the mean. How many units away from the mean are most of these results? Okay, so that could be good for trying to figure out the volatility in our data. Okay, so number of days with quantity sold less than STD dev. Okay? Whenever you see number of something, that should give you a clue that it's a count. So we're going to do count if, okay, I'll go to the wizard, explain it to you. Range, again, where do you want me to look? Where do you want me to look? We are not looking at this from a summary perspective, so we have to go back to the data perspective. But again, we're going to grab these lemonade cups sold. Okay? And we're going to click criteria. Now that you told me where to look, what do you want me to look for? Historically, we have just clicked on what we wanted to look and have a reference, right? Okay, so what we want is less than the deviation, okay? So I'm going to do less than B11 and show you what happens. Okay, we get an answer of 0. Okay, it did not do this problem correctly. Excel did not. Okay, this is one of those rare situations where you need to hard code the answer. Okay, so the standard deviation is 14.2, but we all know that there's a whole, they're all whole numbers. The number of cups sold are whole, so we can just put 14. Okay, that's fine. But instead of just 14, we want less than 14. Okay. Or sorry, less than equal to 14. Okay. And now we get 18. There are 18 days where we have sales that are less than the standard deviation of quantity. Okay. Why is that important? Well, when we have low volume days, either we have to predict, oh, we should not have a lot of inventory, or should we have a lot of inventory? Okay. There might be certain days where you want to have 15 extra units of lemonade, or 14.2 extra. So standard deviation gives us an idea of how volatile our data is. Okay, it's just an indicator. Nothing more than that. It's just an indicator. Later in the course, we'll get into more complex topics related to fit, form, and function. So it's just an indicator of our data set. Again, save, because we kind of did some work there. Now we're going to tackle that task one. Okay? Assume it takes 25 cents to make a glass of lemonade. Assume the following price structure. Okay? Now I know you haven't had this stuff before, but I'm going to walk you through it. And you should remember price elasticity, but again, I know that's one of the difficult parts of microeconomics, being that I teach it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this column of information. Very good information there. I'm going to bring it over. I'm just going to put it right over here for now. I'm not going to keep it forever. I'm just going to minimize this because it's a lot of space there. So, oops, don't do that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is create a current price each. Okay. Current total sales. Okay. Proposed price each. And I'll explain this in a minute. Proposed total sales. Okay. So in class you saw me give you an answer that's different than this. There's more ways to do this than I can count. And so I'm going to give you the one that's a little more structured, what I think is easier for you, because I've learned that a lot of people are having problems with sum ifs and count ifs and average ifs. So we're going to do this without any of that. Okay? So just a little different way to look at this problem. The current price each is going to correspond to these temperatures. We know that in 70-degree weather to 79-degree weather, our price is 50 cents. So I'm going to type in 50 cents there, and I'm going to drag that down until I get to 79. Okay, see what I did there? I got the 79, got my 50 cents. Next, I'm going to do 75 cents. 80 to 89 degree weather, go down. I'm going to stop at 88 because I don't have an 89. Okay, 80 to 89, but I don't have an 88 or 89 value there, so I'm stopping there. Everything else is a buck under the current system. Okay, 90 to 99, 100 to 109, that's a buck. Okay, so I just added all that. Okay, now I'm going to calculate the total sales. So 50 cents for every cup sold. I had 21 cups sold in 70 degree weather. Okay, so I've got that going for me. Okay. Proposed price each. In our case, the problem is saying if I change the last bin's pricing up by 50 cents, I'm going to lose 20% of my demand. That's the business problem. So right now, we just have the same total sales. So proposed price each is the same. So we're just going to use an equal sign and go all the way down. Okay, but now we're going to just change the 100 degree weather and up all the way to the 107 by putting 1.5, $1.50. Okay, we're going to drag that down. So now we have our new pricing. This is our new pricing here. Okay, we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to take price each times quantity sold, total lemonade sold. We're going to bring that down. As you can see here, 1050 and 1050, they're the same. That's because we didn't change the price. But down here, okay, we have a little more work to do. Because as you can see with this formula, all I'm doing is multiplying current price or new price times old demand. Okay? Old demand. Remember, I'm expecting to lose 20% of my demand by raising my price. So how do I do that? I go up to this formula here in G38, which is where my data is. You could have started in a different location. I'm only going to take 80% of those sales times 0.8 because I'm losing 80% of my demand. Okay, so I'm taking 0.8 because 20% of 100% is 0.8. Okay, so I just lost my sales. So now you can look and say, okay, my old sales were $55 at $1 each. My new sales are $66 at $1.50, counting for that 80% left in demand. Now this is where you figure out if it's worth it. We're going to do a sum. I'm in E47. I'm going to sum up current total sales. I'm going to copy that formula, move over to proposed total sales. And you can see here that I've got more money. Okay, I have more money. So what this is saying is it's a good decision to raise my price if I can trust that I'm going to lose only 20% of my demand. Okay, so that's another way to analyze this stuff. So you could tell your boss, yes, based on our information, we can raise our price 50 cents in 100 to 107 or 109 degree weather. We estimate we'll lose 20% of our demand, but we will still grow our sales. Okay, just for fun, let's figure this one out. Equals new minus old divided by old. Okay, parentheses because we want that's a part of our formula. So my sales figures will grow by 8.6% even though I lost 20% of my demand. Okay. Now, one thing I want to make clear, we did this in a different way than what I showed you as the answer. The answer, the one that I did in class, I realized is a little more advanced. It's using a lot of midpoint methods and price elasticities. So the one I'm showing you here is perfectly acceptable to turn in. It's easier, but it gets you to the same kind of information. The answer is yes, I can raise my price and I'll still have more money. Okay. And last thing, task 6, using the information from chapter 4, sorry, that should say chapter 3, sorry about that, chapter 3, you've already done that in the analysis tab. So that's why I was saying move over to the analysis tab because now you've got some good information. This is a table of information down here, just like we talked about in class. Okay, it's a rather long table, but it's a table. Let's clean this up. We don't need this anymore. That's what I was saying before. Going forward, clean up stuff you don't need in your sheet. Okay, make it look a little more professional. Okay? Variance, let's just put that as a whole number. Look at it as a whole number. Standard deviation, let's look at that as 2 digits. And days of quantity sold, let's not show any decimals. Okay? Now, you can have some fun here. Click on your histogram, go up to design, and go up to here, there in the middle, and have some fun designing your chart. Okay? Have some fun with this. Okay? And that's what we'll be looking for in this class, is some creativity. Okay? It's not all about copying the professor cell for cell. Okay? I'm hoping midway through the course you'll be able to start navigating your spreadsheets by yourself, accomplishing goals, new material, but I'm hoping that the sum if and the count if and average if stuff won't be a problem anymore. If it is, let me know. Absolutely, absolutely let me know, because I would love to help you. I've had students coming in this week, and within 10 minutes, they're out the door, and they have a really good understanding of that sum if stuff. So.